Hey everybody, Matt Johnston here. I'm back with another COVID-19 legal update. And Congress has finally gotten off the dime and passed some legislation. And not unsurprisingly, when you have a 5,500 and some odd page document, nobody knows what the heck is in the document. But using that fancy little Control F on your keyboard, you can find out some interesting things if you are interested. So I want to talk about two things in this particular video. And before we get started on that, as more information comes out, please subscribe to this channel because I'll be doing a lot more of these videos over the next coming weeks. So it's either here or here for the subscription button. Choose one of those, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Anywho, so the stimulus bill includes some provisions dealing with the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. So the FFCRA back in April created a federal paid sick leave benefit that all employers with fewer than 500 employees had to comply with. To offset the cost of that paid leave, you got some tax credits. It also created expanded FMLA, which provided leave for people who needed to take time off in order to care for children whose school or daycare had been closed as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. So those benefits were scheduled to terminate on December 31st, so next week. Turns out that Congress apparently is not going to require you to provide paid leave, but you can still provide paid leave and still get the tax credits at least through, it appears, the first quarter of 2021. So while you're not required to provide a paid benefit, if you do, you may still qualify for the tax benefits. So that information is going to get confirmed by our friends at the Internal Revenue Service regarding the tax benefits pretty quickly, as well as from the Department of Labor. So I'll be keeping an eye out on those two organizations to see how they clarify that. But for right now, it is very clear that employers are not required to provide the paid leave benefit. You just can do so. I do want to reiterate, at least for Maryland employers and many other states, there are still the state Sick Leave Act provisions, and some states may also have emergency leave provisions related to the pandemic. So those are still in place. Congress hasn't altered those in any way. If you have a leave policy that talks about the FFCRA and you did not include a sunset provision in there that says this policy will expire on December 31st, 2020, then you need to get out there and notify your employees that the paid benefit will no longer be available, or if it is going to be available, you can continue the process. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop me an email or schedule a call. I'll put my scheduling link down below. The other issue I want to address is the PPP loans. Apparently Congress has created a second draw for the PPP loans, and it's way more complicated than the last setup. So I'm still working through it, but there are going to be some requirements. First, it's only going to be available for employers with fewer than 300 employees. There's going to be some restrictions on the types of businesses that can obtain it. The one thing that I have seen that is clearly excluded is lobbying organizations and financial institutions. So those are EIN numbers that begin with a 52. So if you're in that kind of industry, you probably aren't going to be eligible. The second thing that has come up is that you are going to have to be able to demonstrate that you have lost about 25% or more of your income. And there's a couple of different ways in which that's going to be calculated. I still haven't quite parsed that out. Statutory language is not written with ease of reading in mind. So still trying to figure that out. But from what I understand, that if you can show a 25% loss year over year per quarter, and whether that's 1 quarter, 2 quarters, I'm not quite sure, but the if it's a 25% loss year over year, so if you were operational in 2019, and let's say your second quarter or your third quarter or your fourth quarter or all of them show a 25% reduction in revenue, then you will be able to claim and apply for a second draw of a PPP loan. It's still going to be 2.5% of your payroll expenses for a given period. So those things are going to be in there, and there's going to be some additional clarifying regulations that the Internal Revenue Service and the Small Business Administration will send out in the coming weeks that will explain how that is going to be available. There are caps on what can be borrowed under the second draw. And additionally, there's additional funds that have been set aside for very small employers, those with 10 employees or less. Details on that are kind of sketchy. So that's what I know so far. I've been getting a lot of phone calls, and I've been trying to respond as best I can, but I will be honest with you, it's 5,500 pages of stuff. Now, I do want to address a couple of things. From my knowledge, this bill is not just Coronavirus Relief Act. It also includes an omnibus spending package that Congress passed. And there's a lot of people freaking out about some of the stuff, foreign aid in particular, that is being doled out. I get it. Fine. I'm not going to sit here and argue about whether foreign aid is a good thing or a bad thing. But if you're seeing stuff that is foreign aid, chances are it's part of that omnibus spending package that was passed pretty much at the same time. I think they just sort of cobbled these two bills together, which I think is, personally, I think that's horrible legislative practices, but I don't run Congress, so it is what it is. But I think that's why you're seeing some of these things that are, some of these things that people are really, really exercised about. Bear in mind that the two bills were put together into one gigantic bill, which is why you get a 5,500-page piece of legislation, and you should hold your members of Congress accountable as necessary based upon that kind of activity. So, as things come forward and as we learn more and as I learn more about what's in this bill, what's not in this bill for small businesses, I will be posting some videos. So once again, please subscribe to the videos, share the videos, and in the meantime, we'll speak to you later. Bye-bye.